I want to thank the AFLPA and Paul Marsh for embracing this challenge and working with us and the clubs as we navigate the changing landscape. We're still working through the final details, but their support and collaboration has been vital.
Yes, football, we can't have them without the players, that's for sure. And Paul Marsh is the boss of the Players Association. He joins us on Footy Classified tonight. Connie, Paul, it was a late night, I understand. A lot of negotiations, a lot of moving targets at the moment. As you sit here tonight, what's the biggest issue for you and your players?
Well, firstly, thanks for having us. There's a couple of issues we're still working through. Clearly, the families has been a significant part of this, and pleased that we've got to an outcome now where the families can get up to Queensland, and there's still a bit of detail to work through there. I think that the time away is obviously a significant issue, and that's moved a lot in the last week and a bit. We still need to work through that. The compressing of the season that Travis has just spoken to hasn't been agreed at this point, so we're still working through, the details around that, and hopefully we'll get there in the next 24 hours or so.
It's ironic, isn't it, Paul? Because you were criticised roundly for maybe a worst-case scenario scare campaign. God, it seems like forever ago now, talking about lengthy time away, and I think it was 15, 16 weeks, and I suppose for the grand final team, it could be 15, 16 weeks now, couldn't it?
Well, I can't remember that, Cara. No, look, that's certainly from our perspective. We need to communicate with our players. I think we've always been real with them. That was, as I said at the time, the proposal that was given to us. We gave it to the players, and I think it's allowed them to think about this and prepare for this, and their families to think about the eventuality of a long time away. And I think we're probably in a better place as an industry for having had that conversation. So, as much as we'd all prefer not to be here right now, the situation in Victoria at the moment, and New South Wales potentially, is pretty dire. So it's necessitated where we're at now, and the players, they feel this deep responsibility to get the game on, and they're going to continue to do what it takes.
Travis Alder's just talked about football every night of the week and having to negotiate 4-day breaks in some circumstances. We sort of got the impression from Gillen today that was over the line, or certainly you'd come to the party on everything. That's not quite the case?
No, we still need to work through some of these details. 4-day breaks are certainly something that we are open to, but you need to have a look at that in its totality rather than just look at it week to week. So, how much they want to compress the season. We have a few other issues that we're working through, including at the moment the players can't contract into next season, and there's a genuine concern amongst the playing group about the risk of injury if we are compressing the season and what that might mean for their careers. So, Gil and I have been having conversations on that for the last few days, and we'll keep working through that. But I will just reiterate, we're taking very much a solution-focused mindset to this. We understand that times are difficult, and we just need to keep working through it. And we've done a pretty good job, I reckon, with the AFL on that front so far.
Paul, just on the contract one, it's a hard one because obviously Gil and the clubs want to know how much money there is to put in there. You need to get some certainty. So there's no argument. It just needs to find some common ground. Also with the kids coming through for next year for the draft and things like that, how are you going with all that? Because you've got the next constituents coming into the game as well who are really being left floundering at the moment.
Yeah, that's a big discussion that's ahead of us. I think whilst a lot of this year's been about just getting the game on, we still need to get an agreement in place, or we do have an agreement in place for the next 2 years, but we need to lock that down now with the AFL. So things like list sizes and the TPP, these are all things that have been spoken about, but we need to work through that. But our starting point is we do have a deal in place with the industry. So the AFL, the ball's in their court on this at the moment, and they'll come to us when they get through these issues.
I suppose diving in a little bit deeper to that, we've done those uncontracted, risk of injury, we've done those coming through next year, but it's really the big marquee players on 5-6 year contracts on the biggest money at the clubs. The discussion about recalibrating them or not, or just picking up off you, the deal's in place until it's otherwise. What is the position?
Yeah, the deal is in place until it's otherwise, and I think that's where it's at now. As I said, the ball's in the AFL's court. They'll come to us at some point. But every single player is potentially impacted by this. Clearly, every single player has taken a significant hit this season. So I think we've shown that we'll do our bit. But, this is a big discussion that's coming for the current players, the future players, and even the past players.
And Paul, what about the player who decides it's too long and I want to come home? Was that negotiated also for that they receive full payment if that was to be the case?
Yeah, Matthew, we had this discussion before the 4 teams went up to Queensland for the first set-up hub. And where we landed on this is we have a strong view that the starting point for every single player in this competition is they want to play. And so the only reason they wouldn't play is if they've got circumstances that mean that they can't be away. And in that scenario, we would like to think that the industry would support them. Where we landed with the AFL is this is an issue between the players and the clubs, and we would expect that the clubs would look after the players. And I think, we've seen a couple of players in this position already. There'll be more. There are players who we know are expecting children over the next little bit. So these are the sort of issues that need to be worked through, but I'd expect that the industry will look after its players here. Yeah,
everyone's trying to do the right thing. It's great to see, actually, everyone coming together. As you go to sleep tonight, what's the one big issue for you?
About all of this? I think it would be nice to put the fixturing stuff to bed over the next couple of days. I know how important it is, but it's also the players' position on this needs to be factored in. We don't want to be putting players at risk of injury, so we just need to work through that. And then, as you guys said off the top, there'll be something else tomorrow. I'm sure it's been like that every day this year, pretty much. So, who knows? It's exciting, isn't it?
All right, well, hopefully not tomorrow because it's Geelong and Collingwood tomorrow. I hope it all goes smooth sailing there. But, Paul, thanks very much for joining us, mate. As I said, I know you went right into the wee small hours this morning and there's been a lot on your plate. We appreciate you coming on to talk to your constituents and also to the fans tonight on Footy Classified.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Good night, mate. Paul Marsh, the boss of the AFL Players Association.